Hello and welcome to the Salesforce Club one more time. This is your host and host Roshan Kotla with one of my favorite parts of the club, the success stories. Imagine a lady in a new country like Australia coming from a non-English speaking background, from a non-computer science background, trying to find a job after 9 years of gap in her career, and then goes through 4 years of struggle in learning and going across a lot of interviews, eventually finding a job. So it takes 13 years in all. And after that job, her story gets picked up as a success story by Salesforce to showcase an example for all the other trailblazers to get inspired from. And that's the story we are bringing to you as part of this club success story. I am super excited because of the conversation that I've had. I've got inspired and I'm sure it'll inspire a lot of you as well. So let's just dive in and hope we all like it. I've liked it for sure. I'm sure you'll like it as well. Yeah, let's get started. So Mrs. Lakshmi Pavani is in the club today, going to share her success story with us. Welcome to the club, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm smiling and beaming already. Lakshmi, I'd like you to maybe tell us about where and what you're doing today. Before you get into the story, so we want to see, for viewers to know, who are you?
Yeah.
Who's Lakshmi?
Yeah. Lakshmi is Lakshmi for sure. Hello everyone. Thanks Roshan for the opportunity. This is Lakshmi Pavani and I came from Melbourne just to meet Roshan today. And I am working as an associate consultant as of now in CPQ and then Sales Cloud. But yeah, it was a good I started as an associate consultant and now maybe I will start as a new year as a consultant. Maybe I will be promoted, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I'm hoping that associate will be cut. What else? To be true, I'm a homemaker and I have a kid and I'm a successful trailblazer, I can say.
Great. I think successful trailblazer is always a great...
I always feel that as my position or designation in the ecosystem. I don't care about being promoted or being given a better designation, but I always say myself as a successful trailblazer because I made an impact.
But I think, like you said, right, the life is a progression.
Yes.
I was talking to her, and life is a progression, and it's not just your job. And being a trailblazer is a forever thing.
Ongoing.
So yeah, it's very well put. But before she became a consultant or a professional in Salesforce ecosystem, there was a lot which happened, which is the whole idea of
This talk.
This story, right? So when I say story, it has to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And in this case, the beginning that I'd like to probably ask you is, where did it all start? Maybe not from your birth, but
No. Yeah, I don't take much time.
Your family background.
Yeah.
Like, where did it all start? Where have you come from?
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit
basically-
about your personal.
Basically I belong to Andhra, Rajahmundry, and my mother was a school teacher. She worked for 38 years and she gave us well education and she gave us whatever we need, the minimum. It's not that we had a luxury life or we are from an extraordinary family, but the thing is we know what to use, what not to, and then we had a single parent and she is the role model because I had seen her going through a lot of struggles, and I do understand that, okay, if you have struggle, you have to face it and clear it off. Otherwise, there is no resolution to, skip the struggle. If you skip it, you need to face it in the other stage of your life. So
True.
better to find the resolution and then go ahead, be with a smiley face and then be ready for the next challenge. That's what I believe. And then I'm married, I'm a homemaker and I had a kid. He's into grade 5 now. And we moved to Melbourne very recently, and my husband is into SAP.
Okay, so my takeaway from there is very humble backgrounds. In fact, my mom was also a teacher, so I can understand, I can relate to that. And I think the struggle you talked about, I think from a single parent, and I think a lot of us, how many of you have got fathers and mothers as role models? I think as young kids it starts there, but for you it has continued much longer than a lot of others, I'd say. So that's good to know. And fast forward probably to, not today because you probably talked about today, but fast forward to your graduation days or maybe your first job. Tell us a little bit about your first job or your education.
Yeah, I'm a very good student.
Okay.
I'm still in touch with my school teachers. I do respect.
Truly good.
And then I did my non-IT background graduation. It didn't help me to find a software job, but yeah.
No, but I'll have to stop you there.
Yes.
When you say non-IT, what
I-
was your graduation?
I did my chemical engineering. It's not that I don't want to tell about chemical, but I don't remember anything about chemical
Okay, so
engineering.
on that note, guys, here is already the first point. She has come from a chemical engineering background, and today she is a Salesforce consultant in Australia, working across multiple clouds. How did she get there? We'll get to that point, but she comes from a chemical engineering background. So for all of those who think, oh, my education is not in IT, can I do it? The answer already is
Yes.
a yes.
It's a big yes.
Please proceed.
Yeah, and then I started finding a job in chemical engineering. Let me be very true. I attended 3 interviews and I cleared 3 of them. But they said after the interview was successful, they said, we don't want to hire women. I asked them, then why did you invite women? I was straightly asking the interviewers on their face, why did you ask? Why didn't you give a note that women are not, supposed to come? With distinction of background or graduation, and I was successfully completing that interview, but still I was not being offered. Then I thought, okay, maybe this is not the right way to proceed for the future or career. Then I thought I could learn something into IT. Then those days in 2007 and 8, it was data warehousing. So I learned everything from Amit Pate Institute, and then I do still remember, like, I was still asking so many people to give a real-time scenario. I asked a number of people, still I ask the same thing because the technology has been changed, very drastically. So, and then I got an offer in Accenture. I joined Bangalore Accenture and I worked for Accenture almost 1 year, and then one and a half year, and then I resigned because of my personal commitments. Like, if I want to work, I don't want to get married. I have seen my mother very busy having work and no option, right? She had to work. So I just want to become a homemaker, if not married. Then so I told my mother that this is my priority, this is my preference. I don't want to work if I want to get married. Then she said, okay, quit your job. I quit it, and then I got married, and then
You quit your job. So you got
Yes.
married and you quit your job.
No, I quit
But
my
before you
job and
quit-
then I got married.
You quit your job and then you got married. But
Yeah.
before we get to what happened after that, let's see, you came from a chemical engineering background, you tried to get a job there, on paper qualified, clearing the interview, but because you were a woman, you were not offered a job,
Yes.
which is quite strange, even in 2006-7. And that made you go to the IT, learn
Yeah.
technology, and the good part is you could get a job in a much shorter span of time, because 4 years of degree and studying something could not get you something which you probably learned in a year and you got a job. But that was a conscious choice of yours of leaving the job and
Actually,
further
yes.
personal.
Actually, it's an S, but it's not in 1 year. But I tried to get into MBA, but I discontinued it, unfortunately. I did my MBA till last semester in JNTU KPHB, and then I discontinued it. But the thing is, I wanted to get into IT. I thought I could get MBA systems, IT systems branch, but because of the less number of students, they didn't offer that branch. So I thought, okay, let me be very frank and very genuine to my interest. I wanted to learn something into IT. I wanted to move into IT. That's made me let me go, let me stop this education. And then I went to Bangalore, and then I faced the interviews, and that was the first time I was ever spoken to one US citizen. I had no English because I studied in Telugu medium.
By the way, so that's interesting.
Till my 10th grade, I was into Telugu medium, so I had that hesitation. What if I speak wrong, or what if I pronounce wrong? I do have so many things internally, but I pretend that I'm very brave, but I can manage it very well. So I was successful into the interview, and then I offered a job, and trust me, my mother was the happiest person on that day, because she could see the growth in her kid, right? So she was very happy, and then I was able to make her happy. I was proud at that moment, but I could not continue it more longer because of the personal commitments. Then I got married, and things have happened in a span of 3 years after the graduation. It's not so quick.
No, but that's that emotion of first job. I think most of us can relate.
I still do remember
And,
that Accenture.
coming from a non-English speaking education background is a different kind of achievement altogether. So I didn't know that, but now I know.
Yeah,
So,
things will come.
yes.
The surprises will be there.
True.
Yeah.
So, okay, then tell us more about, okay, so that was like 2008,
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, that time. It was still 15 years ago. And you stopped working there.
Yeah, I didn't.
And after that, your next, technically, the job is Salesforce job.
Yes.
So, how long was the gap, and when did you again start pursuing for a job in Salesforce, or how did you come across Salesforce in the journey?
Yeah, when I wanted to come back to the workforce again, I started asking people. Always my journey or my milestone started with n number of questions to n number of people. I never stopped asking questions. So I started asking, my own people, family people, what is the next course which is having more requirement. Then people said so many things. Don't learn this, don't do that, don't do this. But nobody has suggested me do this. One person from Australia, she suggested me Salesforce is doing good in 2017. That's the first time I heard Salesforce.
2017.
Yeah. That's the first time I heard the word Salesforce, and then I started learning. By the time I don't have any idea about Trailhead badges or modules or what is Trailhead login or Trailblazer's login. I don't have any idea, but I just started doing it. Once you are into the sea, you have to swim. So, and something else like necessity is the mother of invention. I wanted to work. I wanted to learn something. It's not about earning, but I wanted to find my own self. It's finding my own self. And which had given me a destination, like so many people are identifying me as me. That's the success of the story, and I really feel proud about that achievement.
No, absolutely, we all feel great, and
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so happy that you're in the club today,
Yeah.
discussing your success story and sharing with all the other relevant people who
Yeah.
could relate, and maybe find the perfect mentor, which we'll get to towards the end. So what I hear is for the next 8-9 years, there was
13 years.
13 years. 13 years.
I was
you
not
were-
doing anything. Like I was doing something. Like I had other interests like gardening, crafting, or tutoring. I worked as a Q math teacher for 1.5 years. I used to give my kid and other kids about the math tuitions, but it was not a full-time role, and it was not into technically. But I just made myself that my mind should be active. It's not that I should write the coding or I should understand somebody else's code, but the thing is I should learn, and something should definitely go into my brain. It was active for sure. So that's the reason I was able to, attend so many webinars and get something or the other from the webinar, each webinar I attend. So yeah, that's how I made myself. It's not that I don't have work or I have enough, time to pass it on, but the thing is, I always wanted to be active.
So you heard, we see that for almost 13 years, she was away from the mainstream job for a lot of personal reasons, and I think that's where it gets interesting now for me and for a lot of us. Saying, how was it to get started after 13 years of not working in the ecosystem? So Lakshmi, tell us about the challenges, the good, the bad, when you restarted your quest for a full-time job.
Yeah, actually it was a lot of struggle. I can never say it was a smooth walk or somebody has helped me, holded my hand. Nobody was working in Salesforce for sure. I started digging the technology or LinkedIn. So where to learn, I don't have any idea. How to learn, I don't have any idea. But the thing is, I never stopped learning, asking questions to MVPs or people who are helping on the community or social media. So I took it as an advantage, and then I started with my right questions or stupid questions, I can say. But the thing is, there are so many people who want to help you. Until and unless you don't ask, they don't come to know that, okay, Lakshmi needs something to know or she wants a help. So I would always suggest anybody who wants to come into the ecosystem, I will ask them to ask questions, a number of questions, and then find the answers. When we migrated to Melbourne, like it was completely new community, technology, day-to-day life was very different, time zone was different, I was away from my family, and then I literally don't understand Aussie language. It was the first barrier for me, to understand and greet them on their face. But the thing is, I wanted to make use of all those opportunities, and I want to get used to that slang, And then I started with volunteering at many places like Red Cross or my son's school, libraries. I volunteered. I find the opportunity to interact with many people of Australian community. And then I started attending these Salesforce webinars, and I have done some local courses, and I have done a casual teacher aide job there for 6 months. But my biggest problem is I can talk to elders, but I can never speak to the child, because their accent was completely different, and they think that because she's an elder, she may understand. But actual difficulty thing for me was I don't understand their slang. I felt so bad that I was not able to help that kid. So it made me so strong to get communicating to those people very frequently. That's the only way you can resolve a problem. Once you face more number of times, you will get the resolutions quickly. So that's how I faced, the child or elders or the old people in Australian communities so frequently, then so comfortable. I made myself comfortable facing them and talking to them, understanding them, receiving their the sentences or the communication, and then that's how I started my journey. It was not so easy, but it was now it is like a successful thing. It's not that I achieved everything, but I have overcome the first or second problem of my life there.
So the first challenge that we hear is it's a new country and not so comfortable language, because we already know that your primary language was not English. So it's already hard moving countries, and then you're trying to search for a job after 13 years. So the first challenge we hear is communication, which I think a lot of us also can relate to. When we say communication, it's not just one language, right? And not everybody comes from the same language background. So in this case, I see that as the first barrier. But I'm sure when it comes to Salesforce, you mentioned webinars. You mentioned trying to reach out to people on social media and community access. So how was that journey? So how long did it take? When you started in 2017, when did you get your first job?
I got my first job or first interview in Salesforce in 2017 October. So
that was your first interview?
First call from the recruiter.
Okay.
To be true.
Okay.
And it was around 4 years. 4 complete years.
It took 4 years.
Yes.
So you started in 2017. The first interview was 2017.
Yeah.
But to land a job, from that moment, it took 4 years.
Yeah.
So now that's another interesting thing, right? Because a 13-year gap in itself probably a huge thing, getting opportunities, and the courage to learn. She mentioned the background, and of course your mom would have given you a lot of support. But any other challenges? So how was it from a personal front? Was it easy for you to just go ahead, give this a try after 13 years? Or is there any challenge that you would like to share with us, which you think people could learn from?
Yeah, actually it was not at all easy, because I was alone, I felt like there was nobody to support me in Australia. So I made it very clear that, okay, let me use my time productively. It's not like feeling alone or feeling depressed. That makes no sense, right? That won't help you in the next day. It will worsen your next day, right? So I was very determined that, okay, let me use it productively so that I can invest my time in learning something which can build my future better. So I started learning Salesforce, and because of the pandemic, I took it as a positive note. Like, I know pandemic was not so good, but for learners, global learners, Trailblazers to be true, it was very supportive that I can attend any time zone webinar, right? I attended Singapore webinar, I attended USA webinar, I attended Malaysia webinar. Irrespective of the time zone, if that particular webinar title is interesting to me, I used to put an alarm around 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I used to get up. I just used to have a coffee, and then I used to be on.
You mean midnight 1 o'clock?
Yes, midnight 1 o'clock. And the instructor used to get surprised when they asked, where are you from? I used to say from Melbourne or Australia. Then they used to ask, what is the time now? I used to say 1 o'clock in the morning. Then they said, okay, recording will be available. You can skip this session if you want to. No, it's my personal choice to learn, right? So it's just you who fixes what you want to become. It's not somebody else who will force you to become or who will stop you to become. But the thing is, it's just you. Within you, you can have that clarity. And then and I'm addressing all the women, who are homemakers, who want to do something, but they feel like they're not getting enough support from the family or from siblings or from somebody else or from the community. But I just will tell them that be yourself. Yeah, have some short goals, learn something. Okay, let me finish this module. It's not just Salesforce, right? It can be craft or stitching something or embroidery, whatever it may be. It's their personal choice, but do concentrate on something what you want to become. Have that clear goal, and then just go to the next step in some time, and then the next step. Don't plan for the last step of the journey. Plan it stepwise and be successful at each step. That's what I believe in, and I enjoyed my each step of progression. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it, the stepwise progression.
Yeah.
But I think in your case, those stepwise, there's a lot of steps, because when I hear 4 years and joining webinars and doing modules consistent, and before you got your first job, how many badges did you finish?
I finished around 180 plus badges.
Right? So doing about close to 200 badges, joining these many webinars, while you have other personal challenges going on, is not easy. So I think the stepwise becomes all the more important when the journey is becoming longer.
Yeah.
Because if it's a short one, yes, you can plan for the end goal and get it there. But when it's the longer the journey, the more the steps, and I think the immediate step is what you're referring to as should be the right goal for people to go.
Right. Like when you have other commitments, right, which can impact your journey. So don't have a longer goal. That's what I should say. Like have a plan for 1 month or 1 week or for the next day. I should cut the day or cut the duration, and then let me finish this day successfully. What I have learned on this day, how can I use this on the next day? Commit mistakes or do the mistakes, learn it, and redo the mistake and relearn, make it better, and don't repeat the mistake. Try not to repeat. Okay, learn something else, do some other mistake and learn something new from that. But the thing is, only you just need to show. I have seen one word in my primary school saying resilience. I literally don't understand that word, but it's one of the school values of my son, where you should show the persistence or consistency of what you are doing. That makes sense, and that had given me, from then onwards I'm using that word very frequently whenever I need to share my details. That has become an attribute of my character. I don't know that I can name it like that, but once I came to know this is the attribute of my personal life, it was me. Okay, when Lakshmi Pavani, somebody says, so many people will remember that she struggled a lot, but she made the impact. That's how I always suggest all the homemakers. Don't feel bad that you are not able to do something or achieve something. Do something or the other, but do it continuously. That makes difference on one day. You just need to wait for that one day.
So consistency is the word.
Yes.
On that note, if I have to ask you your top 3 takeaways, because from 2017 2021 is what you've just described, the emotion, the struggle, and what helped you go step by step. But if I have to ask you three things, 3 big learnings or 3 big takeaways for somebody to look at their journey when they're, because 2021 is you starting or planning for a job in Salesforce and getting it. So this 4 years probably would have a lot of things. But if I have to ask you top 3 things, saying these are the 3 things that I've learned, and these are something which people can follow to make it through the journey, the struggle to the job.
First thing, be yourself.
Okay.
Second thing, have short goals. Third, show resilience and achieve all the goals what you are progressively making or aiming at. These are the 3 takeaways.
Perfect. Very, very well summarized. But now I'm curious about what happened in 2021. So because it didn't happen in 2017, 18, 19, 20, the pandemic hit us. 21, post-pandemic, people are all the more insecure about their existing jobs, and you still kept pushing for it. So it is obviously a surprising.
My life is moving in a reverse direction. Everybody is fearing or scaring of losing their job, but I never expected that I can get a job on that particular period of universe. But suddenly when I learn something, I wanted to share. You know, it's not just even if somebody asks me where is Vegas, right? I will tell them go this way, don't go that way, because I used to always mentor or share the knowledge whatever I have acquired, irrespective of technology, or I do cook a lot, so I will tell them how to cook Mysore pak easily. That makes sense to me. You know, they don't need to feel that they failed making Mysore pak. So yeah, I always share something which I know very clearly. Even if I'm not clear, I will tell them, I will make sure I will clear myself, and then I will let you know. So this is how I have traveled a lot.
Yeah.
I have learned so many things from CPQ. Somebody called Srini Pusuluri from Texas. If I'm wrong with the location, sorry, but he's from USA for sure. So he conducted a webinar, like he shared whatever he knows in CPQ. I love to get into CPQ. I learned something. I did something on my Trailhead playground, and I shared that on my community, Melbourne community. And from there, that video was viral, which I don't know, and so many people watched that webinar. And my company, if I'm not wrong, one of the people who interviewed me have seen that video, and that's how the call has come to me. But I don't know any of these things before getting that call.
So this company you're referring to is the one who eventually called you for the interview.
Yeah, give me a role now. I'm a part of Jarvis for sure, and it's a Sydney-based company.
Okay.
I'm working as a permanent remote consultant.
And it was your webinar, that your learning part, which actually got you
Yes.
through. Somebody noticed that you've done something and they approached, and then you applied for it.
Because they could see me that I'm contributing more on the community, and irrespective of my basics or my knowledgeability, I'm trying to share something because I wanted to share.
It's a great thing, and that's why I wanted to know what happened in 2000, because post-pandemic or 2021 was a very uncertain year. By the way, for people who are still wondering, the dish she mentioned, Mysore pak, it's a local recipe from the state that I belong and she belongs to, the state of Andhra and Telangana. It's a sweet dish, and you must try if you're in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Coming back to 2021.
Yeah.
So it is obviously, and I think this is what we keep saying to a lot of people, that you keep doing what you do. It can take longer, but I'm pleasantly surprised to know that it was your community work or your learning that you put across somewhere, and somebody noticed that, and then you got a call from a reputed company which is not even from Melbourne.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jarvis, for that.
I'm the first woman employee in Melbourne.
From Melbourne in Jarvis?
Yes.
Okay. So she's the first woman employee from Melbourne
To Sydney-based Jarvis.
for a Sydney-based company, which is Jarvis.
Yeah.
Great. We'll confirm that, but okay.
Yeah.
So 2021 definitely. So how did it feel when you got this? I wanted to know that.
Literally, I had no idea.
So your feelings when you got the call and your interview clearance.
Yeah. Actually, I got a call from recruiter saying, would you be interested to apply? Then I said, I had nothing in my resume. I don't want to bluff the employer, I don't want to put any fake experience. So many people told me, you can manage the interview, but who will do the work? That's my question to them. And then I forgot to mention one more thing. I was volunteering with one of the not-for-profit organizations where we have developed something called Buddy Management app.
Okay.
Which
nice.
is in Salesforce administration. You can still see my name on the website as a part of 5 volunteers. And then even I had given that particular application as a webinar in the Melbourne community. From there, I got my visibility. Like, okay, she's doing something. She's struggling a lot to do something or learn something, get into the ecosystem. Then I told the recruiter that I don't have anything else other than the volunteering part. He said, okay, let me have that resume, then let me see it. So I shared my resume. Surprisingly, on the next day or after 2 days, I got the call from Jarvis saying, we are happy to have you or interview you. Then I was very panicked because I didn't expect that. Okay, let it go. I don't get any call. That kind of things are running in
Because
my
you've been
mind.
used to not getting calls for almost 4 years
I still
now.
get,
Yeah.
sorry to inform you that your resume was not shortlisted. I still get those emails. So because I applied so many jobs in Melbourne, but the local reference plays a very vital role. You just need to be very active in the community. You should show your attitude that you want to give back to the community. whether it's Red Cross or school or library, whatever it makes sense, but just be in the community active. So, and then Salesforce is something which is similar to this. People are valued. I do respect Salesforce for that. So that's how I got my first references, which are supervisors for a sales associations. It's not technical. She's a 60-year-old woman who runs the store for second-hand goodies, and she gave me the ultimate review. Like, yeah, Lakshmi is doing a fabulous job, and she's a good communicator, or she's very helpful, or something like that. So I told the recruiter that this is what I have in my resume, because I used to have 3 pages resume, because I do have a lot of volunteering things. I did volunteering with a child care center, with a primary school, then the Red Cross, and at library. So whatever I do mention all those points. So he just laughed that without having any job, you are having 3-page resume. So it was very funny, but yeah, I was fortunate that they called me for an interview. I just asked them what are the interviews. It was a cultural interview and then a technical interview. Cultural, I thought, okay, I can manage because I'm into the cultural thing, right? So, but technical, yeah, I was very scared. What they will ask, what if I don't answer? I thought, okay, I do have my short goal. I just need to get my call. Yeah, I got my call. I need to face it. That's the next challenge. I'm not bothered about the result, or I'm not worried about what he or she is going to ask me technically. Then I was very kind of bindas. I don't want to show that I'm scared. I managed very well again. So when the director of Salesforce was asking me, what are the difference between lookup and master detail? I do remember 2 of them, not all of them. I told him I was preparing myself for CPQ interview and you are asking me an admin interview. That's not the right case, right? So he said, okay, don't stress, Lakshmi. Then I said, no, I'm not stressed. Let's discuss whatever I know. And then he asked me about the app, what we volunteered for, and some few questions were related to that application. Luckily, I was able to make a good impact or positive review. And then the following day, I got another call saying, Lakshmi, there is a good news, saying they wanted to offer you a role. I was scared and I just asked the recruiter that, are you joking? No, I'm not joking, Lakshmi. They want to give you this much amount, I just told my husband that I made it. I got the offer because my next goal is getting an offer. Whether I accept it, whether I can do it, I don't mind. But getting that offer into inbox is my next goal. I got it. And my husband was saying, I know you can do it. But I'm not believing myself. But people will believe you when you are successful, not when you are not able to make the change, right?
True.
So just make very clear that you can do it. Whether you can do, you can't do, that's secondary. But believe yourself. There is nothing like, it's not monetary thing you invest, right? It's just your belief that you can do it. Especially for women, homemakers who want to come into workforce, it's not so easy taking 8 hours of a day completely to, do a full-time job. And that too, this is a remote work. So I felt, okay, I'm the luckiest person on that day. I got my offer into inbox and then, yeah, I didn't even tell my parents on that day or in-laws because I still was in a, dilemma that whether is it a true or still am I imagining something which
it was unbelievable for you.
Yeah, absolutely. and there was so much confusion, like when to join, do I need to accept it? And when they offered me a job, I got another call from another MNC. Things when start, they will move ahead only. But you just need to wait for the starting point. That's what.
So to come back to the 3 takeaways you said, the persistence.
Absolutely. Short goals, and I do respect my Javis for the first opportunity because they believed that I can do something, which sometimes my family or myself I'm not ready to believe myself. I was shocked when they gave me. Why do they invest few thousands of dollars a year for me? Because they saw that okay, she wants to learn. Right, so just have the right attitude. It's not that
congratulations, Lakshmi, on that because
yeah.
Getting an offer, getting an interview call through the voluntary work that you've been doing, and then being questioned for a subject which you're probably not prepared, and then having it cleared and getting the job offer in just one day is more than commendable. I don't know what word is the best describing there. But I think this, if I just imagine, is just perfect. And like you rightly said, things take time, but once it happens, in Hindi we say, जब देता है तो छप्पड़ फाड़ के देता है. People who do that. So it rains. It pours when it rains.
Yeah,
As we say. I think if the right one in English is it pours when it rains. So. But yeah, good that you've taken your first offer and have not gone further. It shows the respect and the attitude that you've built.
And I just want to say one more thing. Like when you want to learn something, be genuine. When you don't know something in an interview, don't try to bluff the employer that you know something, right? You can't do miracles at the desk. So if you don't know, tell them that I don't know this. I'm not comfortable answering this. That makes sense to you yourself. And when I offered this role, so many people, when I talked to many people, they suggested me that you can accept this offer, but you can deny it if you get the second offer. But I'm very clear with, like, if I accept it, I don't want to look back. I just want to continue. And that's why my company respects me. And for that opportunity, I respect them till my last breath.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why there's mutual respect is you've both been genuine to each other. And the key takeaway there for us and for all of you also is, don't try to put things in your resume which you've not done,
Right.
or which you don't know, no matter how normal it is to have it in the resume for that job. Because if you hear the example that she talked about, it's probably a normal thing, but the preparation and the work she did in the area of CPQ was much different from the admin world that most of us prepare for. So it's okay to not know something normal, but and you actually said this to the recruiter,
To the director of Salesforce.
to the director of Salesforce in that company, saying, I don't know this. So it's important to tell them, tell the recruiter, I don't know what I don't know, but I'm good at what I know, and this is what I know. It makes a huge difference, and this is a perfect example of that. And look at this. This is not just another person who's doing the interview. It's a senior management. He or she is the head of the Salesforce practice for that company. So it makes a big difference. If you're still wondering what to put, what not to put in your profile, don't put things which you don't know about in your profile. Absolutely no. And there's no explanation for that.
Right.
There's nothing else, right? So that's good. Congratulations for getting that and successfully moving through a lot of career, and which takes me to the next big question and probably the last question. So for somebody who's never been in Salesforce, 13 years of gap, 4 years of struggle, getting a job, how is it now to actually be in the job and see the real world? Because you're still volunteering, doing some community work, but when you come to the real world, how was the feeling in this last 1 year? Because it's not somebody who's come from another Salesforce job to another job. This is your first job, and tell us about how it felt.
Yeah, actually the biggest part is managing my son and my 8 hours working, per day. So I was so guilty, like, am I not giving right enough time to my son? Or am I not doing the household things properly? Or am I just concentrating or focusing on my own career? Am I becoming too focused? There are so many things running in my mind, and when I start logging my work, I used to feel always like I should be accountable. Whatever task they send, I want to do it. It's not that I am the only person to do, but whatever they ask me to do, I want to be I don't want to become a dumb person in front of the group. I know all my team members are working for 9 years or 4+ years in Salesforce. I was nothing in front of them. I was so scared to talk in the meetups or stand-ups. But the thing is, everybody was so helpful. They always told me, I never understand. They used to say me one thing like, don't be too harsh to yourself, Lakshmi. I was so mean to myself, thinking that I'm not doing the right thing, or I'm the only person who is not doing the right thing. But they used to tell me their examples, their starting of their careers, like when they started their first Salesforce job. They used to give me examples like, this is how we struggled, and that is how we are here, and you will be there somewhere.
They shared their struggle to make better.
Yeah, they also shared that they got panicked when they got assigned the first task on Jira. I never know how to change the status of Jira ticket, user story. My lead was so cool. You do whatever you can, Lakshmi, I will help you. That's how he used to give me a proposal solution. And then it's not like spoon feeding, They used to give me a question, and the first thing I do is I reread 10 number of times. If I don't understand, I used to go to the community, question and answers. Every day morning 9 o'clock, I used to share 9 to 10 questions or 5 to 6 questions. And people around the world are so generous that if they find time to read that question, they used to answer it. That is how I resolved almost 15 plus.
Thank you, Trailblazer community.
Yes,
for-
I should be very thankful to so many people. I can name them, but still I don't want to name the only people who helped me on the community by answering. And there are so many Indian community, Trailblazer community people who helped me morally. Just go on. They used to tell me just don't stop. That helped me morally to stay focused and without quitting my current
No,
job.
but I think that we are sure you don't stop, because your 4 years persistence tells us that you
Yeah,
never
because
stop.
they knew me for the last 4 years, right? 3+ years they knew me that she's trying to learn, she's struggling, she's coming, and whatever I have invested, it's my genuine effort. It's not that because my husband works in Salesforce or my sister-in-law works in Salesforce, I'm not into Salesforce. It's my own choice. And then I started sharing the good things about Salesforce to other women who want to come into ecosystem. And trust me, when you engage the community very well, you will be ranked. I was on rank 9 on Revenue Cloud community. I was so proud of that. It's just because I didn't answer the best answers, but I'm asking the right questions. I'm engaging the community. And people started following my threads. And they started approaching me, can you help me with this? And it's like, I'm extending my Trailblazer family, I can say. It's not too emotional, but to be true, Salesforce has given me a lot of good contacts in my life.
So thanks once again to the Trailblazer community for getting Lakshmi to the point of job, but not just leave there. The last 12-14 months that she's been in the job is also a lot of thanks to Trailblazer community.
Yeah.
Of course, when you don't take the first step, nobody else. So we say this very commonly. For someone to help, you have to help yourself first.
Yes.
So if you don't go to the Trailblazer community, there's nobody else answering or helping you out. So getting a job, executing the job, and executing is never ending. Execution of the job is never ending. I think is also somewhere where Trailblazer community comes into picture. For all those who are not part of it, good time to join that, because without that, your career, a great Salesforce career, is incomplete. Not being part of Trailblazer community.
I wanted to share one more thing, if it is okay.
Yeah, sure.
I was contacted by Salesforce people for sharing my success story on Trailblazer community, and it was a surprise and another shock for me when they contacted me via my employer. They were just thinking that whether she will be able to speak on camera or not. Then I said, absolutely fine. I want to share, because there are so many Lakshmis who are waiting to know more about Salesforce, or if they want to come into Salesforce, I will be a good example. It's not that I'm the role model, but I can set a good example for them. Like when I am not doing anything and I can achieve this one, somebody else like Lakshmi also can do the same thing, right? So I said, absolutely fine, I can speak, but just make sure my English is fine or not. Then they were very happy, and I was one of the 4 Australia and New Zealand successful Trailblazers, one among the 4.
She was one of the chosen ones by Salesforce from the Australia and New Zealand, both Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, ANZ.
From ANZ, the Australia and New Zealand community, chosen by Salesforce to spread the message about Trailblazer community, to share her success story. And she's also doing that here, by the way. But it's sort of dream world kind of a thing, because like you said, it was unbelievable, because
I haven't even think of that. Something can happen, I don't have an idea. I never imagined myself sharing my success story in front of the 400, They shared it on the career fair, where 400 ANZ people have attended for job.
Not just 400, right? It's
over the world,
community.
but ANZ career fair, 400 plus registrations were there. And I took a leave on that day to see myself on the big screen. When they share it on live, I wanted to see myself. Okay, this is Lakshmi Found.
Guys who don't
know,
you
did a good job.
It's a very big screen.
Yeah.
The Salesforce events that we're talking about, and I don't think I can describe the feeling of having looking at yourself on that bigger screen. So, but the bigger point is all of this happened in less than 12 months of her starting her career.
Yes.
Like technically her job. Yes, the struggle was long enough, 4 years. But once she got in, the Trailblazer community appreciated her. She is giving back. Community is ongoing. Salesforce invited and being 1 in 4 and continuing the same. And to cap it off, today she's also the group leader for Melbourne Salesforce marketers.
Marketing Cloud
So
Group.
2023 is a new beginning on that
Yeah.
note, I guess. But my question to you, Lakshmi, is what's next? So that's what is 12 to 14 months in the last 12 to 14 months. I think probably one of the life's most exciting years, if I can say that, from what I've heard so far. I mean, of course, the struggle periods were there, but this was probably the
Everything paid off.
Everything paid off in 2022. I
Yeah.
can say that. So what's in store? What's your next step? What are you looking forward to in 2023 and onwards, including the group that you started?
Yeah, actually, I started helping people or women homemakers, and I could change one of my friends' life. Like, she started her learning Salesforce last December once I got my offer, like 2021 December, I'm telling you. And now she's working as a support consultant in Salesforce organization Hyderabad. And I'm very proud that she got a role in Salesforce directly. Now I'm requesting her to refer me in Salesforce. It was a funny part, but I'm very proud of her because she also was a homemaker for the last like 18 plus years or 17 plus years. And now she's making a move to give 8 hours of a day, that too in an odd shift, like 12:30 to 9:30.
So hold on, are you telling me that after you got a job, you've already mentored
Oh yeah.
an 18 plus, I mean, a person who's away from a job for more than 18 years?
Never did a job.
Oh, never did a job in
Yeah.
the last 18 years, or actually never did a job in their life.
Anything.
But I can say 18 years of gap from their graduation and today. You've mentored them and they've learned and they've already secured a job in Salesforce itself.
Yes.
Not in the ecosystem, but on sale. They joined Salesforce as a company. That itself is a huge success story. Maybe we should get that person as part of the success story next
I
time.
will ask her next time. Salesforce is something which gives you, the needed recognition. Like, when you help somebody, it's not that you and the other person know that. There is something called MVP. I wanted to make a note on that. So within 1 year, I got the MVP nomination. I'm not so sure if I will get that title or not. That somebody's thought was, okay, Lakshmi can be an MVP. That itself made me an MVP. I was overwhelmed and I couldn't stop her nominating me, but I got that email. I will just make a frame of it and I will say, okay, I was in that class and
That probably was the icing on the cake for 2022 because this all happened in December.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, MVP is Salesforce way of recognizing all the active people in the community, giving back to the community, its most valuable professional.
Yeah.
And that I can say it was in the month of December, so it was icing on the cake for a perfect 2022 you had.
Yes, I ended my first 1 year of my career after a
in the
long
best way
gap in the
possible.
best way possible. I can't imagine the better year.
There cannot be better year.
Then
for sure.
I was, I need to set my goals higher. I need to help more people in order to stay as an MVP or stay, having more nominations from the people. Or I need to be on the question and answer community very active. It's not just me when I need help. It's when somebody needs help also. If you can help, just go and share it on that community. Just Google yourself, be active on the community, be in touch with the group leaders and talk to the Trailblazers.
And this is for all the people who are already in the community. Please share more.
Yes.
When you share, it helps people like Lakshmi and a lot of others believe and make it happen.
Yes.
Again, on that note, thank you. Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for sharing your story and instilling and the execution of a lot of positive beliefs that we hear and we talk about. But when we see it live, when we look at the outcomes, 2022 for Lakshmi was probably a book in itself of what can you get when you do all this value, when you follow all these values, when you start believing in this. Thank you for sharing with us.
My pleasure.
We will look forward to have you again as part of our club.
Yeah.
And sure, you're officially part of the club anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So all the others, join the club for more such stories and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yes.
Bye.